Moving on to the next float, we have the Chuck Norris float.
Now, the Chuck Norris float. Now, I gotta tell you this. Chuck Norris happens to be one of my heroes. He is a man's man.
Really? Mine too. Mine too. I love Chuck Norris.
How about you there? That's great. I love what you just said.
He obviously loves Chuck Norris. Many people don't realize this, but this float has no engine or car attached to it. It's being powered by Chuck Norris punches. You can see him in the back of the float there, punching it repeatedly, moving it along the concrete.
Wow, that man is just juiced with testosterone. I don't know how he does it.
I don't understand it either. Many people say that under his beard he hides another fist. I don't think so. I think it's a big, manly pair of testicles.
You know,
I think you might be right. Roundhouse he just did.
You know, I saw your mom's roundhouse the other night, and it was fabulous. Chuck Norris, however, his float has no wheels. Have you looked at that?
I have looked at the wheels.
He doesn't need wheels to move that float. In fact, he has weighted it down extra just to give himself more of a workout.
Well, I mean, he's a very strong man. You know, very, very strong. Bulging muscles, very tight chest. I like his abs. His legs are extremely nice.
Oh,
you know, I mean, he's heterosexual all the way.
He is such a man's man.
I mean, if we could get him into construction here in Intercourse, Pennsylvania to do some heavy screwing, I would be a very happy man, wouldn't you?
Oh, he wouldn't even need a hammer. He could just pound those nails in with his fist.
I mean, that is a man who could kick balls into my face any damn day.
Exactly.
So what about this next float, speaking of chest?
Well, there was one more thing on the Chuck Norris float real quick. If you hadn't noticed, the float is a giant pile of corpses. Now, interesting fact about this giant pile of corpses resulted from his last altercation at the DMV. Apparently, Chuck Norris won't take any number except one.
You know, another thing, if you notice, when this float is going by, there's silence, which is one of the things that I like about you, is when you keep silence. Now, here our next float.
Now, our next float, we have the chest hair float. Oh, my goodness. Glistening brown and black chest hair just shining in the 90-degree weather sun. I love it.
You know, I especially love it. I especially love it when you have the chest hair, when it interweaves with itself, and especially if there's a tattoo underneath.
Oh, yes.
Tattoos help a lot.
And if you can incorporate the chest hair into the tattoo, like I saw this great one of Bob Ross painting a happy little tree right below the guy's nipple, and the chest hair made his afro. Very manly.
That's great. You know, another thing I like, especially in heat like this, is when it starts to glisten, especially if they use deodorant, you get that nice white bead of chemical substance that kind of drips like wax. It's very fine. It's very wonderful. It gives off a nice musky mist. And I mean, we can smell this as it's coming along right now.
Oh, I can smell the musk. Oh, nothing like man's musk to make me love being straight.
You know, I'm telling you that. I mean, when it burns my nose hairs, I know I'm there.
Exactly. Nothing I like better than running my hands through chest hair. My own, but chest hair. Feels so good. Love it. Moving on to the next float. Thank you very much. The UFC float. The Ultimate Fighting, or the MMA, if we don't want to break any licensing agreements. The MMA float. Nothing but men kicking each other in the face and punching each other in the butt punching. You know, it's allowed on this float. Usually not in actual MMA rings, but here, butt punching is okay. Oh, look, you can see another man mounting a man right now.
See, what I love about this float, and the UFC in particular, is all the wrestling moves that can be incorporated in things like this. Now, when you get a man who's wearing very tight spandex, and you basically do a pile drive, you're almost doing what, you know, the Indians would call the 69 position, which I find especially good, and we like to keep the 69 position going all the time in Intercourse, Pennsylvania. It is almost on one of our flags. You know, the Congress of the Cow, other things like that, they're great, but 69, not only is it a number, and a large number, but you can reverse it and flip it upside down, and it's still 69. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? That's right.
And when you put it together, it is also a very peaceful number, like a yin and a yang.
Exactly, which shows, you know, the male and the female aspect. In this case, it's a male and the male, it's the face and the genitals, which also goes with the sports, because you have balls to the face once again, and it's a wonderful thing. We like it an awful lot. You can see the chest hair glistening on them. That spandex goes right well, especially when you have that kind of a leotard with that kind of a pattern. It works very well, I'd have to say. I would give blue ribbon scores for this float. I actually would.
Bert, what about the submission?
Well, you know, Dirk, one of the greatest things about the things that you have to say is that you're not Dirk. You're actually Chip. This is Dirk. Dirk is a better friend of mine. I'm sorry to say that. Chip, I think one of the things that you should do is just not comment. I think that would work very well. If we could get a not comment float to go by to remind you, that would be wonderful. But we couldn't afford that today.
You know, what I'd really like to do is submit your vocal cords right now. Just put them into submission so they don't work anymore. I'm about to put on a rear naked choke, but I won't, because we can see it right there, rear naked choke, those two men almost naked as well.
Exactly, exactly. Well, the thing is, in order to do maneuvers like that, especially when you're doing the 69, the Congress of Cow, you need to remain flexible. You can't be wearing a lot of clothes, especially in this kind of heat. You want to be free. In fact, when we do construction work, most of us do it naked here in Intercourse, Pennsylvania, because it allows us to do our screwing much better.
It allows
less clothes.
It allows your tools to breathe.
Exactly.
If you will.
Tools do need to breathe.
Yes,
exactly.
They do. You don't want slippery tools when you're working with hard wood.